You've probably seen influencers promoting yoga, weighted vests, or vibration plates for stronger bones. But when you look at the actual research, the results tell a completely different story. In this video, I'll show you what really works and what doesn't for improving bone density. Here's what you can expect to learn. First, we'll discuss yoga, then we'll look at the research on weighted vests and vibration plates, and finally, we'll also talk about the risks of vibration plates. Before we jump in, who am I? My name is Igor. I'm the author of the Amazon best-selling book called Osteoporosis Reversal Secrets. As well, I run an online personal training company that specializes in osteoporosis reversal. And just so you don't think I'm a random dude on the internet with an opinion, I'm a personal trainer who actually works with people one-on-one, and I see the effects of the methods on the results. And so here's one example. One of our clients named Darlene, until the age of 46, she was a jock. She was fit, she was active, and yet at 46, she was diagnosed with breast cancer, went through the standard treatment of chemotherapy, radiation, and eventually estrogen blockers. And as a result, yes, her cancer was kept at bay. However, her bone density declined. Normal, but not desirable. She was on the brink of osteoporosis, almost had to take medications, and yet we were able to improve her bone density with part of what you learn about here. Here is Laura, one of our clients from Los Angeles, and she had severe osteoporosis, including a long family history of it. And in a matter of 1 year, we were able to improve her bone density between 4 and 7% at different areas. And here is Anne. She was fit, she exercised, ate a vegan diet, and yet, to her surprise, but not ours, developed osteoporosis. We were able to strengthen her bones and improve her T-scores as well in a matter of 4 months. So let's jump in. Let's talk about yoga. Lots of people think that yoga fixes everything. But what does the research have to say? Here is one study titled Effects of Yogasanas on Osteoporosis in Postmenopausal Women. Here is the design of the study. For 6 months, 30 women between the ages of 45 and 62 did four yoga sessions per week for a duration of 1 hour each. After 6 months, here's what happened. Their T-scores improved ever so slightly, from minus 2.69 to minus 2.55, a tiny little improvement. But what matters is really not T-scores. What really matters is fracture risk. Did this have any effect on their fracture risk? And the answer is no. A change of this insignificance makes no difference whatsoever to fracture risk. If their fracture risk was moderate at the beginning, the fracture risk was still moderate at the end. That doesn't mean yoga is bad for you. It's just not effective for strengthening your bones. So why doesn't it work? The simple reason that yoga doesn't strengthen bones is that it's not strength training. Why this matters is this. For something to strengthen bones, it needs to be strength training. And therefore, what's the definition of strength training? Strength training is something that activates what's called the fast twitch type 2X muscle fibers, which generate the kind of force needed to trigger bone growth. But let's backtrack a little bit. I'm going to give you a very quick, pain-free crash course on all these muscle fibers. There are only three of them. There are type 1 fibers, type 2A, and type 2X. What are all these fibers? Type 1 muscle fibers are also called slow twitch muscle fibers. They are slow to contract, but they have a lot of endurance. That's like your red meat. Type 2X at the other end of the spectrum is very fast to contract, produces a lot of power, but has very little endurance. That's your white meat, so to speak. And type 2A are in the middle. It's almost like the sound bars on a stereo. The louder you get, the more red it becomes. And so type 2X is what's activated when you're actually doing strength training. It's not activated in other forms of exercise like yoga. So you need to cross 70 to 80% of your maximal voluntary contraction in order for those type 2X fibers to be activated. Strength training is not about the equipment that you use. It's about the intensity, the amount of weight lifted relative to how much weight you can lift. You can do dumbbells, but if they're light, that's not strength training. Again, it's not about equipment, it's about the intensity, the amount of weight lifted. So that covers yoga. Next, let's talk about weighted vests. Why do people use weighted vests if they have osteoporosis? Well, the first and most common recommendation for osteoporosis is you should do weight-bearing exercise. What's more weight-bearing than walking? Well, the only thing more weight-bearing than walking is walking with a weighted vest. However, we know that walking alone doesn't improve bone density. And furthermore, there is no research on weighted vests alone. Here's one study titled Long-Term Exercise Using Weighted Vests Prevents Hip Bone Loss in Postmenopausal Women. If all you did is you read the title, you'd have not a complete picture of what this study actually looked at. So let's break it down. In this study, 18 postmenopausal women were divided into two groups. Group number one did exercise. They jumped 3 times per week and walked with a weighted vest. So they did two things. And if they had any improvements, we don't know which of those two things caused the improvements. Group number two didn't exercise. After 5 years of this kind of treatment, group number one, they improved their bone density at the femoral neck by 1.54%. And in a second, I'll explain to you, is this impressive or not impressive? Interestingly enough, despite an improvement in the femoral neck, they actually lost bone density at the total hip, 0.82%. Is this impressive? Not to me. Why not? Because this study combined jumping with walking with a weighted vest. Let's look at a study that addresses jumping alone with no weighted vest. This is titled Effectiveness of Resistance Training or Jumping Exercise to Increase Bone Mineral Density in Men with Low Bone Mass. And here's what they did. After 6 months of jump training, these men were able to improve their bone density by 1.3%. Again, this is jumping only with no weighted vest. This is on par with a previous study that had a weighted vest. Does that mean that the weighted vest probably has no effect? That would be my educated guess. Now, there are benefits and drawbacks to weighted vests. The great benefit is that it improves cardio as long as the duration and the intensity are sufficient. Okay. Now, I'm just saying it improves cardio. I'm not saying it does so uniquely. Lots of things improve cardio, cycling, swimming, jogging, lots of things improve cardio. There is no unique benefit to weighted vests when you're doing cardio. It's on par with, it's not superior to. However, it's not all positive. There are some drawbacks. One of the biggest drawbacks is joint stress. So if in addition to osteoporosis, you also have arthritis in your hips and knees, a weighted vest can actually make it worse. It can make your joints hurt more. Another risk is compression fractures. This is one of the greatest fears of people who have osteoporosis, which is the lower vertebrae in the lower back cannot support the weight of the upper body. And if you increase the weight of the upper body by wearing a weighted vest, these vertebrae at the bottom, at the lower back, cannot handle anymore, and so the risk of compression fractures rises. Also, falling is a huge risk for women and people in general with osteoporosis. If you were to fall without a weighted vest, you might not break a bone. However, if you fall with an added weight, your risk of breaking a bone is even higher. So in my opinion, there are more drawbacks than benefits to weighted vests, and none of the benefits have anything to do with bone density. Lastly, let's talk about vibration plates. Do they work? Here's one study titled Effects of Whole Body Vibration on Bone Mineral Density in Postmenopausal Women. And so in this study, in this meta-analysis, some studies showed improvements and others didn't. So what were the differences between the studies that showed improvements and those that didn't? The devil is in the details. Not all vibration plates or vibration platforms are created equal. And so those that showed effectiveness used a low frequency, under 20 hertz, and a high magnitude, over 1G. They show the greatest and most consistent improvements. Additionally, side alternating vibration platforms also showed improvement in bone density, better than those that vibrate up and down. So side to side is better than up and down. Okay. And how big was the effect? By how much did they improve bone density? If they used the right protocol, if they used the right amplitude, the right frequency, and the side-to-side motion, they improved bone density by an impressive 3 to 4%. And that's just this study. In a different review titled, Does Whole Body Vibration and Exercise Training Improve Bone Mineral Density in Postmenopausal Women? In here, the bone density improved by 5.5%. That's very, very impressive. But again, the devil is in the details. The details are this. To summarize one more time, the vibration frequency needs to be below 20 hertz. So low frequency vibration is better than high frequency vibration. The magnitude needs to be over 1G, and this should be done 3 to 5 times per week for a duration of 10 to 20 minutes per session. Not bad, considering that when you do strength training, that needs to be done for 40 to 60 minutes. So these kinds of changes from as low as 3% to as high as 5.5% is on par with strength training, and that is seriously impressive. But there is a downside. Although it's well researched, by how much does vibration training or vibration platforms do they improve bone density? There is zero research on how much they improve fracture risk. And that's what really, really matters. And the reason that I emphasize the difference between bone density and fracture risk is because bone density is just one component of fracture risk. There are about three or four components, and this improves one of them. So of course it will reduce fracture risk. The question is by how much. So here is my opinion. If somebody does not do any exercise whatsoever, or they do ineffective exercise, their fracture risk will be pretty high. If somebody does strength training, we know from my previous videos that strength training, proper strength training for osteoporosis, can reduce fracture risk over 60%. Seriously impressive. What about vibration plates? Unknown. Again, their impact on bone density is studied. Their impact on fracture risk is not studied. My guess is that it's probably less than strength training because a couple of other components that help with fracture risk is balance, which strength training does help with, as well as muscle strength. And vibration plates don't improve balance or muscle strength, but they do improve bone density. There are also risks to vibration platforms. It's not 100% beneficial. One risk is in balance and vision. If somebody has pre-existing balance and vestibular problems, uh, this person should be using vibration plates very cautiously. Also, if somebody has pre-existing digestive issues, they should be very, very cautious with that, especially the problems with IBS, IBD, etc. Now, it's not going to trigger it. It's just going to make it worse if you already have it. Another possible risk is your joints. They might start hurting, and if you already have osteoarthritis to begin with, maybe vibration plates aren't for you. And it might not be safe in people who have implantable devices like pacemakers. So the vibration could actually knock the pacemaker out of place, or people at risk for clotting. It might liberate a clot, and that clot might get stuck in a blood vessel, and then getting stuck in the blood vessel that can actually stop blood flow to a certain part of your body, possibly even the heart. Um, and again, it can make arthritis worse. Now, right now, we just talked about yoga, vibration plates, and weighted vests, but there are other ways to improve your bone density. And I discuss 6 of those ways in a special video that I've created for only the viewers of this video. It's titled The Stronger Bones Checklist. 6 steps to improve bone density naturally. This video is not available on YouTube, but it is available at this link on your screen right now and in the description below, so check it out.